Preparing to live stream the meeting, setting up. YouTube Live, redirecting. And there. Yes! I always love it when I can make it. Uh-oh. YouTube Live, redirecting. And how do I make you quiet? There. I have to see, gotta learn the details. Learn the deets.
You want me to stay on mute or off?
Either way, this is it is created with the intention of being very interactive. Now, probably when we practice some singing, we'll definitely I'm gonna ask you to mute for especially if we get more folks come on because the Zoom technology, just simply doesn't allow us to have sound sources from multiple sources and create something that's helpful. But while it's just you and while you might have some questions or to interact, absolutely, that's fantastic. So, I'm going to start with, let's see. Hang on just a second. Da, 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 da. There. So just like the little energy that I just spent taking care of the details of doing the Zoom plus the YouTube live stream and such, I want to start with the understanding that what we're doing is working in terms of our voice. In terms of life, what we're doing works. We are alive. We have survived everything that has ever happened to us. We use our voices every day. So it's not ever a question of, is it working? The question is kind of like the fumbling that I just did with my technology. It's how well do I understand my technology and the tools that I have, and how well am I using them? What's my understanding level and what's my skill level with that? And so, why is that important? I find that's very important because our voice is so intrinsic to life and to our identity. So when we start trying to do training or learning around our voice, it's so ingrained. It's so like it's the same as us. And we want to be able, instead of taking the learning or the evaluating personally, we want to be able to just, like be open and like have a beginner's mindset, even though we've been using this thing since the moment we were born. So, um, particularly when I'm working with singers and they don't like listening to themselves sing, or they don't like listening to themselves because there's this critical relationship. So we want to just set that aside. First things first, establish that. Everything you're doing works. That is not what we're here for. We're only here to bring awareness and some more knowledge and understanding and see if we can create something new, if we can find a new level of using what we already have. So, um, I love to start these sessions by asking, what would you love to learn or take away from our session today? I'll ask Kaylin because she's the only one here with me live this morning.
Yeah, so I just started getting comfortable with like singing around people. Like I've always thought I had a good voice, but like I don't know, I've just been always insecure about it. I just want to I feel like I need some help with like certain notes. Also, like I feel like my tone isn't always like on. And also I noticed like in the car when I sing a lot, my throat starts to hurt, so I know I'm not like singing from the right place.
Okay. I love it. That's fantastic self-awareness. And those are very common experiences.
Yeah.
So, um, and that just to say that the knowledge is really helpful to a lot of people.
Mhm.
And it's a really fantastic start to focus today's session. So, we're going to talk about breath. We're going to talk about the process of creating a tone, and we'll explore a little bit the different parts of the voice. I see that somebody has messaged me, so I'm going to allow myself to be distracted here for just a moment because it's about the call.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So that's one of my RSVP'd guests who is occupied with family, and so they won't be joining us. And that's a lovely way to spend this beautiful day is with family. So the understanding that we have learned how to use our voice based on the environment around us and the expectations and our perception of the expectations of how the voice is created and used. So that is very often it creates limits because we just absorb from our environment and our environment hasn't been trained. And so if there are bad habits, we just kind of absorb those as well, and life goes on and everything works just fine. My observation as a teacher would be if you're using your voice a lot and it's getting tired, you've already observed it means that something isn't working correctly or at its optimum. And the other thing is, if there are parts of your voice that you don't have access to, there's two observations. One is that you simply haven't learned how to access it. The other possibility is that we are all unique individuals. And sometimes we want to perform at a level that we are not physically designed to perform at. And or we haven't gotten the training that's going to help us access that. So for a woman that might be thinking that because I can't sing like Mariah Carey in, in the upper stratosphere, that there's something wrong with me. And I would say that's not accurate. I think there is a lot available that even I don't know of. And that's the other thing that I ascribe to vehemently. I am committed to understanding that I have answers that have worked for me and that I've been taught, and I sing very healthfully, and I can sing for hours and hours at a time as long as I'm singing within my where my physical voice is designed to be. And if I'm singing outside of where my voice is designed to be, or if I'm not singing with good technique, then my voice will get tired. And when it gets tired, that is the encouragement, the evidence to me that I need to pay attention. Am I not healthy? Am I not singing healthy? Or am I just simply singing the wrong stuff? So, those would be the questions that I would encourage you to ask if you find yourself feeling vocally tired. That said, let's jump into breathing, because a fundamental understanding that I And a misunderstanding that I come across frequently is that the voice comes from here. The voice comes from the throat. And while it's the case that the muscles that shape the air are in the throat, the voice, I'm just more and more convinced, and I'm learning how to teach it, is the entire body is the voice. And the air itself is the medium that the energy is in that creates our voice. So moving from this focus on the throat to the focus of the entire body, and particularly the way that we breathe and supply air to our voice, and finding the balance between tension and freedom. So I'm super excited about taking this class and turning it in a new direction that's like more focused on kind of those nebulous ideas about like feminine and masculine energy and the releasing and the intensity. So super excited about that. Sorry, little divergent there. Um, Breathing. The way that we breathe is going to impact what we can do with our voice, how much air we have available, how tight our throat is, how tight the mechanisms are, because the air flows through the body, it flows through the throat, it flows through the mouth, it goes past the vocal cords. And all of those muscular structures need to be able to both shape the breath and flow in the breath. It's a very like symbiotic relationship. Nobody's taking anything here, but everybody's working together and coordinating. So let's check in with the body and do a breath check. So often when we've been told to breathe deep, we've learned as children, we go, and we can feel air moving, but that's it's a lot of body movement. And yes, the air goes into the lungs, but it's not free. It's not with freedom, and it doesn't set up the voice to be in a free state. So we want to change the focus of our breath so that the breath comes, it doesn't come into the belly. The breath never goes into the belly. The breath always goes into the lungs. It's the only place it has access to. But the lungs are attached to the diaphragm, which is attached to the bottom of the ribs, which is on top of the guts, the viscera. So when we breathe in, and we say it's with our belly, but what's happening actually is that the belly is pulling, the abdominal wall is pulling the viscera, the guts, down and away from the lungs, and the diaphragm is coming down and pushing it down. And then the rib cage can expand and the diaphragm can go down, and that expands the space of the lungs. So we take a deep breath in and out and in and out and in and out. And if that already feels natural, I'm going to encourage you to take that to an additional level, which is for the freedom and the freeing up of the fascia of the rib cage, particularly. And take that deep breath that pulls the diaphragm down, but then take it even a little bit deeper and see if you can feel the rib cage in the back just kind of open up and draw that air in even deeper and pull it into the smallest crevices of the lungs that you can get to. And we take a deep breath in and out, and one more in. Expand that a little bit deeper and let it out. And continue that. I'm going to encourage you this time as you take that deep breath in, as you get to that place of fullness, feel the throat stay open and yet suspend the breath, which means that the air neither goes in nor out, but the throat stays open. So, in other words, don't hold the breath. Don't close the throat to hold the breath. Instead, we're just going to hold it. We're just going to hold it in suspension, which is, and at that point, I could either go in or out with the breath. And if we can get to this space where we're inhaling and then we're suspending and we're not tightening the throat, we're not tightening the vocal cords in order to control the air, to either hold it in or push it out. And if instead we can create the voice, whether it's our speech voice or our singing voice, if we can be in that state, then the vocal cords have no other work to do than to shape the sound that we're making and to create our voice. And they can do that without tightness and without tension and that intensity. Does that make sense? What part of it doesn't make sense? What part would you like for me to go back over? Or what
Yeah.
would you like to
So
practice?
I can't tell if my throat is tight or open because like there's a sensation, but I'm feeling like it's tight and I don't know
Okay.
how to open it.
I I love that. I appreciate that.
So
So
it's like
let
I'm
um
holding it, and then I don't know.
okay. If you would, have a hand on your tummy
Mm-hmm.
and a hand up here on your sternum. And this is to give you some tactile feedback for right now. And I'm going to invite you to breathe through an open ah vowel and imagine like you're going to yawn. And if you yawn, that should open up the throat a little bit extra. It should like spring the walls of the throat open. It should also raise the soft palate a bit. But we're not going to try to do that directly. We just acknowledge that when I yawn, and it's kind of in the shape of an ah, but then my throat is more likely to be and stay open. And so then I'm going to breathe through that space and we're going to go, oh. Mhm. And try to keep that space open and in the same yawny space, whether the air is going in or out. We go, oh. And again, oh. And again, uh-huh. And your parasympathetic nervous system may say, oh, the vagus nerve is going, oh, I love you for that. Thank you for giving me that freedom. And so it's one of the somatic benefits of singing and particularly this kind of breathing. So Kaylin, let's do that a couple more times and just feel the stretch in the roof of the mouth, but also in the walls of the throat. And try to keep just experience that sensation, understanding that that's what it feels like when my throat is open, when I'm not tightening, when I'm not obstructing. And all of a sudden you hear that I'm speaking in this kind of space also because I'm demonstrating that, but the only way to demonstrate it is to actually do it.
Yeah.
The breath in, suspend in that openness because the energy, the effort is happening. The effort is happening here and not in the throat. The throat doesn't change. It just stays open to let the air in and then out. So we go in and then I suspend and then I can let it go out. Do a couple more of those. Feel the experience. Stretchy stretch. And let it go out through that open space. Do one more. Feel the stretch and the openness. Oh.
Okay, there's a lightness to it.
There's a lightness to it.
Mhm.
What other words would you use to describe it for yourself?
Light, soft, flow. Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely. So, like everything, the experience itself is the thing. It is the thing. And for each of us, we have to experiment and have the experience and have as close to the fullness of the experience as we can access in the
Mhm.
moment. And then, like, take a snapshot. What does that, and not of what it looks like so much as what does it feel like? What are the sensations? And then can I use that as my template, as my default setting, and try to get every other experience to be more like that, to feel like that? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Fantastic. So, would I be correct in imagining that the part of your voice that you have more difficulty with would be the upper register of your voice?
Yes.
Makes total sense. So I'm going to go back and give us just a little bit of mechanics,
Mhm.
and then we'll play with that a little bit, okay? And see what I can offer you today. So we have vocal fold muscles, which actually are just they're the closure on the esophagus. They keep food from falling into the lungs,
Mm.
food and moisture. Okay, they keep the lungs safe, and they divert all of the other things. Everything except air is supposed to go into the stomach. So those little bitty muscles are only about the size of your fingernail. And those are the muscles that shape the air, that then that energy then goes through this other filter, which is the throat and the sinuses and the mouth and the teeth and the tongue and all of these other large structures have an impact on the experience. But what we've been practicing is relaxing those little bitty muscles, which gives them greater flexibility and more agency. If we can get the tongue and the lips and the jaw and all the muscles related to those to relax and let the voice work, it can do more. It has greater flexibility and more range. The thing is that those little muscles themselves need helpers, and they work together with muscles that make us sing more in our chest voice, which is that the low, deep voice, the one that I tend and a lot of women tend to speak in, which is this the low voice. But then there's if I get rid of that set of muscles that are assisting my vocal folds, can you tell the difference? You can absolutely tell the difference, right? Between which helper muscles I'm using. because then I get rid of the chest voice and then I'm going to sing, I'm going to speak up here because this is my head voice. This is my vocal fold muscles being assisted by only my head voice muscles. And so if we get rid of the low part, I can get rid of the low muscles. Even I can sing, can I speak? Have I forgotten how to speak? Without, we can lighten wherever we are and we can ask the chest voice to not be engaged, and then the voice gets lighter. And then we can even take it up to here. And if you want to practice singing in your head voice and being able to access that, you can actually just go more into speech and lighten the speech and release the chest voice and ask it to not be so loud and use that breath. What do you think of that?
I'm like, I don't even know how.
I
I
love
feel
that. And you'll probably want to practice this on your own. And if you want to mute so that you can practice it on your own right now, because
okay.
remember what I said at the beginning, the thing about voice is that it's so intimate. It is so personal. I get it. We want to practice it in our own privacy, but I encourage you to explore it. And imagine being an opera singer or something like that, only not singing in a big, loud voice, but singing with that resonance and with that freedom. Remember the lightness? Because you did experience the lightness. Use that filter. And if you haven't, did you mute yourself? Go ahead and practice that. Oh,
Okay.
hey, and Unique is here with us today. Unique, yay! I'm so glad you're here.
Me too. Love y'all.
Thank you.
Love you too.
All right, so Miss Kaylin, I'm going to invite you. You can stay on your mic or you can mute yourself, but I'm going to invite you to take a breath. Remember how it feels. Remember? Remember how it feels, the snapshot. And if you forget, if your body forgets how it feels and it tries to make it happen, then you go back to experience how it feels. Oh, oh, it feels light and airy and open and effortless. And so then you go back to that and then you go, oh, and I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk up here and I'm going to let it be. I'm going to let it sound like I'm just a little girl. And I'm not a baby because babies cry and babies are intense and babies have a different set of connections because they haven't gone through puberty yet. They haven't developed yet. So this is not a baby sound. This is more of a little girl who hasn't learned how to use her voice yet sound. And we don't want to go around talking like this in general, but we want to have the experience so that we can then connect the parts together and we can use the chest voice and the head voice at the same time and blend them so that we can have strength and flexibility. But until we can access the lightness of the head voice so that those tones are easy for us to get to, that's what we have to practice. Because the muscles are generally atrophied. They're just weak. They just haven't been used because we haven't learned how to access that part of our voice because we're so used to being down here in our chest voice. And so we're just going to practice. We're going to, oh, oh, and we might go, oh, oh, because the ooh vowel helps us to disengage the chest voice muscles, the helper muscles. Ooh. but really, really light. Let it not have to be intense. Let it be breathy and airy. Take that deep breath in with your shoulders open, and then let the rib cage relax and expand and stretch while the diaphragm comes down. And the guts, the abdominal muscles help us take the breath. And we keep the throat open so that it doesn't have to control the air. It just shapes it and makes the sounds. I'm going to pause and let you guys experiment. I'm actually going to bring you all back so that I can see you. Oh, I know why. And when you're ready to come on camera or tell me what you're experiencing, I would love to hear from you. And if you're open to it, see, I changed my view because I am recording and I am on YouTube Live, and I'm trying to protect this space, this container, as much as possible. But also, I want to give you some direct feedback. So I've got to put you back on screen, and now I can see you. So if you would like to come on and share with me, I'll give you some direct input, okay? I got you.
Can you do one more example of the practice? Like, do you want the oohs or the ahs or the both?
I give you the option. Which one feels the easiest for you in this moment?
I'd say ah.
Okay, awesome.
And so for singing, like, you're supposed to mouth breathe?
I want to refer back to the beginning. Every way that we do it works.
Oh, okay.
Okay, every way that we do it works. What I teach, what I personally teach, is absolutely mouth breathing. I have learned and I understand that nose breathing is much better for our parasympathetic nervous system. It helps us to stay calm. We manage our being by the way that we breathe. And for singing, for the sake of keeping the instrument relaxed and open, nose breathing, in my opinion, is not the most beneficial. It creates a vacuum which sucks things in, and there's just more tension in the system, and it takes longer to get the same amount of breath because it's a smaller space. So for singing, yes, most of the time, it's like this. It springs everything open. It's really super easy. Yes.
Wow, that's new for me. So that's exciting.
Okay. And I'm looking forward to your feedback then of your experience, because what I have is my knowledge base, my experience base. Cool.
Okay, I can do a practice for you.
Right.
Okay. Ah.
Okay. Give me another one.
Or should I go higher?
Yeah, try a little bit higher for me, okay?
Ah.
Yes.
It's like running off a little quickly though. Like I can't hold it.
I understand. Guess what? That's exactly the way it ought to be.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, right? So and here's why, because it doesn't have the same pressure in the closure. There's not as much tension in the voice. And because there's not as much tension in the vocal muscles, they have greater flexibility. So they can stretch more, so they can give you those higher pitches, and it's easier because you're not holding them as rigidly, as tightly.
Okay.
That makes sense? So again, understanding that the results we get today in whatever the moment is, today being whatever the moment is, okay? The experience that we're having now may not be the ultimate one that we want, but it's a necessary step in the development. Again, to have the experience. So you want to be able to access the high parts of your voice with great ease whenever you want to.
Mhm.
Well, we have to start with where we are. And if that uses a little extra breath right now, yay. Right? Okay. Does
Yeah.
that all good?
Yeah.
Would you try it again for me? And
Yeah.
see if you can lighten it up and even let it go a little bit higher. And if you want to go and kind of go through a yawn sigh, that's excellent.
Okay.
Okay.
I can try.
Okay.
Oh. I
Again.
went low really quick.
It's okay. Yeah, you did. Let's see if you can keep it up there.
I'm comfortable with the low.
I understand.
Okay. Sounds like I'm trying to break a glass.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. We'll get into that another time.
Okay.
Remember the freedom with the inhalation, and then there's a moment of it's not closing.
Mhm.
It's not tightening or preparing, it's suspension, that state where the air can go either in or out. And now you're going to just let the air go out, and you're going to phonate. That's what we call it, phonate. It's just making sounds. It's just letting the vocal cords vibrate in the air. We're just going to phonate, and we're not going to put any pressure or expectation on it except to be light and let the air pass, okay? Breath in.
Is that my music?
It's not mine.
Hey Google. Off. Okay. Okay. Can you do an example again?
And since I'm giving an example again, I'm going to draw your attention to another thing to try to coordinate.
Okay.
When you breathe in, it's going to come, it doesn't go into the belly, right? But we get all of this stuff out of the way. And then we just keep the rib cage high and open, and it doesn't have to move. The rib cage doesn't move anymore. It's just from the belly. Yeah. So there's no effort, there's no collapsing. We don't push the breath out, or we don't push the voice out by collapsing. We simply let it relax out. So we take the breath in through that yawny space. Breath in. Shoulders open. Yes, ma'am. Mm. I love that. I love that you just walked yourself through what I teach, which is you did the practice of the sigh a couple times, and then you tried to sing it in exactly that same space. Absolutely wonderful.
Thanks.
How did it feel?
I felt like I could have held it for longer too, but I cut myself off. Felt really easy.
Fantastic. Yes, because it becomes more and more effortless.
Mhm.
Yeah. Intention, more and more intention and awareness, but less effort. Fantastic. I think that we can do even more with that upper body being still, because right now it's thinking that it's helping with the breath by like rocking open. And I'm going to encourage you to just find that open space. And maybe one of the things that I've learned for myself, and I've started to teach it, is this awareness of actually like in the shoulder blades. We, not that we're breathing into the back, but if we are aware of our shoulder blades being down and together in our back, this lifts our shoulders up. And I think this is actually a fundamental posture issue for a lot of us humans these days, with so much desk work and so much sitting that we do, so much of this that we do, this forward collapse. But instead, and don't think about it here, feel it in the shoulder blades, in the back, down and together, and this raises the rib cage up naturally, and then breathe from that position in the gut. Use the diaphragm, and let it go into seem like it's going into your belly. See how much more still that becomes? The body's still figuring out. I get it. The body is still figuring out what it's supposed to feel like. Pull that breath in. Now open the throat just a little bit more. Again. Be sure you're feeling a little bit like a yawn, so that the throat and the mouth, the roof of the mouth, stay open and relaxed, but for that nice free space. The breath comes in.
My throat's getting a little dry.
Okay. And so in between, you'll want to breathe through your nose. And if you need to take a drink of water, by all means, you go for that. Do those a couple more and see if you can get a little bit more stretch. Think just a little bit higher and lighter and brighter. Again. Spin it up just a little bit higher. Yep, not louder, right? Still breathy. One more. Nice. So how does that feel? How does it feel like? Do you like it? Does it feel good? And then like analyze it. What does it feel like?
I feel like it's making me a little lightheaded. I feel like I really have to focus on like the high note that I'm trying to hit.
Okay.
So it's a little difficult in that aspect.
Okay.
But just still getting used to what I'm feeling.
Okay. It feels easy.
But it's hard to think about though.
Takes a lot of focus and concentration.
Yeah.
Yes. But physically, it's pretty easy. It doesn't put a strain on your throat. Is that true?
Yeah.
Nice. Does it feel easy to access those pitches, other than the focus and the concentration? Is it easy to get them?
Not like the highest one.
Okay. Then that's where the top is, at least for right now.
Yeah.
And one way that you can adjust the practice to explore that is you can actually start more in the middle of the voice and scoop up to it and then back down. And you can do that on an ooh or an ah, but whoo, so that again, you can explore it and you can touch on it
Mm-hmm.
without it being stressful.
Okay.
Want to try it once or twice?
Yeah, it sounds like a fun roller coaster.
Okay, there you go.
Oh,
Remember your breath. Yes, and
a little
remember.
loud.
Okay. That's okay. Just remember your breath. Get your shoulders back to being open. There you go. Breathe with your gut. There you go.
Oh, I can go higher.
Okay, that's okay. Let me give you another tip.
Mm-hmm.
Get back to that open space, breathe through one space, and the space doesn't have a positive impact on the pitch. So let it just be open and relaxed. Easier. Do it again. A little bit, a little bit. That's okay. Just try to remember all those big muscles, they're not being helpful. We want them to just relax. Shoulders back.
I feel like
Again.
I sound so silly.
And that's part of the practice. And that's why we do it in our own privacy. And that's why we explore with it so that we can just have fun. Go
Okay.
for it. Again.
Oh.
Mhm.
Oh. It sounds like, do you hear that? Like, it's like a little shake.
Yep.
When it gets there.
And the shake is tension releasing.
Oh.
So if you can avoid creating the tension in the first place by lightening up just a little bit on the bottom.
Okay.
So imagine where you think you want to be. And this is just play. There is no award or something or a discipline that's going to happen with this.
Yeah.
So just imagine kind of where you think you want to be, and that's going to feel like this. And so I know that this isn't where I'm going to start. I'm going to start down in the middle of my voice, but this is, I want to be way up here, and that's what it's going to feel like. And so I want even the bottom to feel like that. And so then I go, oh, instead of starting in a different place and trying to raise it up to the top, right?
Am I starting too low, you think?
It's not low. It's not about the pitch, it's about the quality and the intensity. Let it be a little bit breathier, because we know that it needs to be breathier to get up to that top pitch, and let it be easy the way we want it to be. Ready?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
How was that?
Fun.
Fun.
Yeah.
Great. Do 3 of them in a row, okay?
Okay.
Just trying to pull your conscious awareness to the different things that we've talked about. The shoulders being together and down in the back, the breath is all the different things, okay? Here we go. 3 times in a row.
Oh. Wait 1 second. I got it. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Okay. What do you learn? What do you experience?
I'm getting self-conscious.
Fair. That is so fair, because we go like in between our right brain and our left brain, right? And so, yeah, totally. And this is where practicing in our own privacy and giving ourselves this space and understanding it's a practice and it's play.
Yes.
Okay. I think that, well, I would love to hear what you think about how you can apply the different ideas that you've picked up today to what you're used to, and what difference you can project creating for yourself?
Yeah, so I sing the most in my car,
Okay.
and I'm like shocked that my throat doesn't hurt right now. And I definitely like in the car, I'm definitely going from I think just the throat. I'm trying to hit the notes. I think I'm gonna be more I'm gonna definitely try to do more mouth breathing when I sing, and obviously have the correct posture, and maybe like do some deep breaths before to like ground me into like the right breath and the lightness of the breath. And I predict that some of these higher notes are going to be a little less effort for me. So I'm excited.
Fantastic.
I'm
That's
definitely going to be doing these exercises by myself too.
okay. All right. And I love that. And so that also brought me a couple more ideas that I think are pretty easy to share. Um, you're going to be singing while you're driving. So you can also bring your awareness down to the pelvic floor
Mm.
and imagining the breath being supported from the muscles all the way down there. Drawing the breath in to the perineum. And then and engaging the muscles from there, and see if you can imagine and practice creating the voice from that effort rather than your throat effort. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Also, I'm thinking about the low notes, and I'm like, how can I be conscious? Because this, like, I can't see this. Okay, do you know what I'm trying to say? What I'm trying to say is for the low notes, like something
Uh-huh.
really. I'm like, I don't know how I can make that breathy.
That's going to take more
Oh,
being together,
okay.
okay, type of thing. And because the coordination that you're talking about, and we're not necessarily trying to make the low notes breathy.
Right.
What
I'm
we
like, it hurts.
do, oh, it hurts? Oh, well, that's a different story.
Like
So,
my throat after a while.
yeah,
Like not
then,
even half. No, it's so bad because it's like not even half. Like I'm at halfway through the song and I'm like abusing my throat.
well, then you already know you're abusing your throat.
I. but,
Okay,
but what were you gonna say?
well, so here's what I'm going to offer. Your consciousness of your breath, and that the breath is the voice. The breath is the source of the voice, in spite of what it may seem like. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you're singing too hard. You're not necessarily singing too loud, but you're singing too hard.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I get passionate.
yes, and bring the whole body into it. Okay? So
Mm-hmm.
you want to have more volume, you want to be louder, passionate. Okay, fine, cool. But do it with the breath,
Mm-hmm.
not with the throat. Breathe deeper, breathe with the passion. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's in the how do I breathe? How do I prepare for this thing? That's actually one of the life lessons that comes out of the way that I teach singing.
Mm.
The action begins with the intent and the energy with which we prepare. Okay?
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
transfer your passion that comes out in harming your own instrument to whole body breath.
Yeah.
and then report back to me and let me know what you experienced and what you learned, okay?
I will.
Fantastic. Do you have any other questions for me today?
I don't think so. You covered it pretty well.
Fantastic. I had a great time. Thank you for
Me
joining me here
too.
today.
Of course. I hope I can join you next time too.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I would love and appreciate if you want to drop me any ideas for like other things that you feel would be beneficial. If you drop those in the comments in our Telegram chat,
Ideas for what?
or like other things that I could teach or as I teach in the future. Yeah, what you got?
I was thinking like maybe I know it's fundamentals, but I would love to like practice like at least like uh a little bit of a song, like a
Yep,
few lyrics.
yep. That is a challenge that I try to brainstorm on,
Mm-hmm.
and it requires, and this isn't not overcomable. It's absolutely overcomable. Um, Finding something to teach that's basically middle voice for everybody
Mm.
and teaching something that we can all learn together,
Mm-hmm.
which is absolutely doable, or improvising something, which
Yeah.
is just a set of skills that I'm not practiced in. So
Mm-hmm.
I have my own learning curve that I get to face.
Yeah.
So I
That's
have a
the
good,
only thing I can think of right now, but
okay. I love it. All right, beautiful. I'm gonna let you go.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.